On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, a judge just cleared the way for the IRS to seek Coinbase customer data. Oh dear. Dash is the privacy-focused digital currency that offers transactions with instant confirmations. Its unique, decentralized decision-making and self-funding system make it an ideal choice as a stable and secure digital cash. Click the link in the video description to learn more. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. I am your host, Chris Coney, so let's get into today's news. And today we turn to the wonders of CoinDesk, Coindesk.com. We have Stan Higgins to thank again for this wonderful article entitled "A Judge Just Cleared the Way for the IRS to Seek Coinbase Customer Data." So let's see what we've got here. The IRS can now serve Bitcoin and Ethereum exchange startup Coinbase with a summons for information about its users, a federal judge ruled today. And when it says today, it means the 30th of November, which was a couple of days ago. Now, just to make sure we're all on the same page here, this story is about the IRS wanting customer data from Coinbase, and it's an ongoing story that I originally covered in episode 149 of the Cryptoverse. And the basic story is that the IRS, which is the tax authority in the United States, wants large amounts of Coinbase customer data so they can check for anyone using Bitcoin for tax evasion. And if I remember rightly, they want 3 million customer records of all Coinbase's American users. So people who are resident in the United States, they want Coinbase to give all of that customer data to the IRS. Now, Coinbase initially resisted the request because they said it was too broad, and they preferred to protect customer privacy unless the IRS had reason to suspect specific people of tax fraud, in which case Coinbase would just reveal data about those specific customers in order to comply with the law. So it's not like Coinbase are trying to evade the law. Of course they want to comply with the law, but they also have got to balance that with protection of their customers' privacy. So I originally covered this just 10 days ago, and in that short time a federal judge has ruled against Coinbase, it seems. The article continues by saying, when reached for comment, Coinbase said that it expected the order and it would release a formal statement. The company said later, quote, "We are aware of and expected the court's ex parte order today. We look forward to opposing the DOJ's request," that's the Department of Justice, "in court after Coinbase is served with a subpoena. As we previously stated, we remain concerned with our US customers' legitimate privacy rights in the face of the government's sweeping requests." Yes, and I am with Coinbase on this one, because government power must be challenged when the use of that power is approaching abuse. Now, if the IRS had reason to believe, based on, say, previous investigation, that let's say 3 specific Coinbase customers were using Coinbase to avoid tax, and then this would be a correct and appropriate use of their power. However, if we refer back to my model from episode 152, we see the same flawed logic being applied. The IRS wants to violate the privacy of the vast majority in order to possibly catch a tiny minority engaging in tax evasion. So that's what I call my quantitative argument, which is argument by the numbers. So now let's do the qualitative argument, which is argument by non-numerical measures. So when I spoke in episode 152 about causing problems for the 99% who are good people, just to hinder the 1% who are bad people, you could justify that by telling me, say, that the 1% who are criminals are causing more harm to the 99% than banning gold, which was the thing we spoke about in episode 152. So in that case, it would be better overall for the people. And you might justify that on the basis that if these criminals were doing murder for hire, then you would have a good chance of winning the argument. However, today we're talking about a bit of tax evasion. And even then, it's only the possibility of it, rather than it being a certainty. So even if this is going on, the harm it does to the 99% is so small that I would not accept the justification that violating everyone's privacy is beneficial overall. So what? The government's budget is a few $1,000s smaller next year. Big deal. Plus, we are assuming here that this is the only way to catch people committing tax fraud. It's not. So this isn't a choice between justice and no justice. So now let's hear from the IRS, or the US government. There's a quote here from IRS Commissioner John Koskinen. And it says, quote, "Transactions in virtual currency are taxable just like those in any other property. The John Doe summons is a step designed to help the IRS ensure people doing business in the emerging economy are following the tax laws and meeting their responsibilities." Close quote. Well, if this is true, John, then legitimize the use of Bitcoin in the United States and start accepting payment for tax bills in Bitcoin. If there is one thing we've learned over the last 20 years about piracy, it's that people want convenience. And if that means going slightly outside of the law, then that's exactly what they will do. I mean, the reason people used Napster, Kazaa, and BitTorrent was because it was easier, faster, and more convenient of a way to access content compared to the horrible restrictions on platforms like iTunes and God knows what other awful corporate attempts were made. And the success of Netflix is proof of this, right? Netflix give you the flexibility to log in from many different locations. They allow you to use it on your phone, your laptop, your iPad. And they do that because they know the tighter that they restrict people, the more people will just cancel their subscription and go back to the piracy channels. So the IRS just standing there saying, stop doing that, without them actively facilitating the outcome that they want, is ignorant at best and counterproductive at worst. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From as little as $10 a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. That's all for today, guys. I will be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.